I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
We have Mrs. Craig is not here. Mr. Hayden? Mr. Hayden?
Here.
Mr. Giuliano?
Here.
Mr. Nuss?
Here.
Ms. Ranzan? Here. Mrs. Steele? Here. Mrs. Stoll? Here. Mrs. Whitty is not here. Mr. D'Agostino?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will you please join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Sussex-Wantage Regional School District Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the school building and notice of said meeting sent to the New Jersey Herald and the Star Ledger.
The Sussex-Wantage Regional School District is a responsive, caring, child-centered community. Our mission is to educate each individual by becoming a competent, lifelong learner, and productive, responsible citizen, by providing challenging opportunities in a safe environment through a partnership of families, schools, and communities.
At this time, we will move on to the report of the superintendent of schools.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have a great night tonight. Mr. Schwartz, we're going to invite up to recognize our students of the month, and then we're going to recognize at each building level our educational service professionals of the year and teachers of the year who are in attendance.
Good evening, Mr. Gall, Mr. D'Agostino, members of the Board of Education, and of our audience tonight. It is with great pride that I stand before you tonight to present the Students of the Month. Each month I have the pleasure of meeting with each of these individuals, and during these meetings I am able to gain insight into their hobbies, favorite subjects, and extracurricular activities that they participate in. Each of these students tonight have been highly recommended by their teachers. And as I introduce you to each, I will provide a brief snapshot of the wonderful accolades that have helped them earn the Student of the Month. In 6th grade this month, the recipient is Brady Conklin. When I sat with Brady, he told me that his favorite classes were reading and writing. Brady has always enjoyed the language arts curriculum, and in particular enjoys reading and writing fiction pieces. When speaking with Brady, he indicated that he would like to follow his passion for baseball and hopefully play for a minor league or major league team someday. Once his baseball playing days have concluded, he would like to pursue a career as a vet. Brady enjoys baseball in his free time and enjoys watching it as well. His teacher stated the following: he is a very hardworking and outgoing student who often goes above and beyond to help all of his classmates in his classes. In particular, he enjoys setting up or demonstrating activities in both his PE and tech classes. It is with great pride that I introduce Brady Conklin as the 6th grade student.
This is for you. Congratulations.
Great job. In 7th grade this month, the recipient is Kayla Brunner. When I sat with Kayla, she told me that her favorite class was science. Kayla indicated that she has always been interested in studying life cycles and how different animals interact with their environments, and looks forward to studying this topic in the future. When Kayla gets older, she would like to pursue a career in the field of dance. In particular, she would like to be a part of the New York City Ballet. This is fitting for Kayla as she spends 6 days a week in the dance studio. She has always loved dance ever since she can remember and is part of a competition team, that's where she is tonight I believe, and enjoys contemporary ballet, modern hip-hop, and jazz, with her favorite being ballet. Kayla's teacher stated the following: Kayla is a very hardworking young lady. She has good time management skills and is able to balance her work with her other responsibilities outside of school, being involved in dance competitions. She comes to her teachers to make sure she has all of her work ahead of time and never gives up on something, even if it's challenging to her. It is with great pride that I introduce Kayla as a 7th grade student. In 8th grade this month, the recipient is Emma Whitesell. When I sat with Emma, she told me that her favorite classes were science and mathematics. Emma truly enjoys all of the hands-on experiences that she has had in both of these subject areas and stated that she has learned a lot through all of them. When Emma gets older, she would like to pursue a career as a teacher or in the field of culinary. When she is not helping others, she can be found making meals or desserts for her friends and family. Emma has a very busy schedule participating on the SMS cross-country team, participating in dance outside of school, and actively pursuing her role as the adult Anna in our upcoming production of Frozen. Her teacher stated the following: February Student of the Month, Emma Whitesell exemplifies what it means to be respectful, what it means to have school spirit, and what it means to demonstrate compassion for others. Emma is a model student and citizen here at Sussex Middle School, and we are looking forward to seeing all of her successes in the future. As we say goodbye to Emma at the end of the year, I can say that she has had a tremendous impact on her teachers and peers along the way, and she will surely be missed. It is with great pride that I introduce Emma as the 8th grade student. All right, I'm going to roll right into recognizing our educational services professional, which is Mrs. Harriet Anderson. So a school nurse is no easy job. These individuals are the medical experts on call to handle everything from a rolled ankle to a bloody nose to annual health audits. During the 2019-2020 school year, Mrs. Anderson has been asked to go above and beyond and manage the nursing infrastructure of Sussex Middle School while being reassigned to another building. Not only has Mrs. Anderson embraced this opportunity in support of the students, staff, parents, teachers, and administration involved, she's done it with a smile on her face. She has assisted in coordinating and overseeing all students' medical needs, administration of medications, sports physicals, daily emergent issues, orientation events, field trips, and the monitoring of day-to-day needs of her students at her building and in ours. Mrs. Anderson truly deserves this honor, and a thank you from the entire community for her leadership and expertise as it was heavily leaned upon throughout the school year. So congratulations, Mrs. Anderson, and thank you.
I just want to echo the statements of Mr. Schwartz, having had the opportunity to work with her at Warren School. She's just done an extraordinary job. We actually had an arm wrestle to see who And our Governor's Educator of the Year at Sussex Middle School. Like many of the teachers here at Sussex Middle School, Mrs. Ashley Toralucci is a skilled professional who encompasses all of the qualities necessary to be an outstanding educator. Mrs. Toralucci is energetic, creative, and dedicated to her student population, and she is able to work exceptionally well with students of all backgrounds. As a special education teacher, she understands the individualized needs of her students and goes above and beyond to connect with each of them. Additionally, she continuously implements unique and exciting activities to make learning fun and engaging. Mrs. Toralucci has developed a trusting relationship with many of the parents in the community and actively maintains communication in order to promote the learning of all students. Mrs. Toralucci is a dedicated and inspiring educator who makes a difference in the lives of everyone who she encounters. She fosters excellence in education and truly deserves this acknowledgement. So congratulations, Mrs. Toralucci. School.
Thank you, Mr. Gall. Mrs. Reese has been a learning disabilities teacher consultant at Wantage Elementary School for the past 18 years. Prior to becoming an LDTC, she was a special education teacher for 6 years, also at Wantage Elementary School. And I think she taught another 4 years before that somewhere else. So clearly a long history in education for Mrs. Reese. Mrs. Reese spearheaded the recent installation of a sensory path in the crossover hallway. She has facilitated and taught classes for Maker Madness and the Learning Circus. She volunteered at a recent Nielsen Ford Drive for Your School fundraiser event that we just had this past fall. Fellow staff members commented the following regarding Mrs. Reese. Mrs. Reese is one of the hardest working, kindest, and most professional women I know. She possesses a love for children with a desire to meet their needs, which is evident through the meticulous and passionate attention she provides them. Mrs. Reese is exceptionally skilled and talented. She is knowledgeable about various learners and offers strategies that help reach even the most reluctant learner. She is quick to offer advice and makes time in her busy schedule to meet with teachers and colleagues. She maintains close communication with parents and families and helps keep the school and families connected. In my short time at WES, it is evident that Mrs. Reese is someone who places a student's program and best interest as a top priority. She truly cares about each student. Mrs. Reese works diligently with students, staff, and parents to ensure appropriate strategies and supports are provided to ensure every student has a positive and rewarding educational experience. Mrs. Reese leads by example and is a positive role model for our students and our staff. Mrs. Reese believes that when strong relationships are made between students and teachers, coupled with empathy and the use of creative teaching techniques, that students can excel beyond their own expectations. I am fortunate and proud to have the opportunity to have her as one of my staff members. I'm proud to recognize Mrs. Robin Reese as the WES 2019-20 Educational Services Professional of the Year. Mrs. Camaro has been a teacher at Wantage Elementary School for the past 25 years. She has taught 4th grade for the past 19 years and has been in the same classroom for all 19 years. She organizes UNICEF for the Wantage Elementary School and has facilitated family reading and math nights, as well as teacher academies. Fellow staff members commented the following regarding Mrs. Camaro. Mrs. Camaro is a very dedicated and methodical teacher. She believes that every student can learn and she will lead them to the mastery of skills. Her students know she is fair and expects the best of each of them. Mrs. Camaro passes on her love of learning to all of her students. Year after year, when former students of Mrs. Camaro enter my classroom, I am amazed at how well they conduct themselves socially and academically. Many of these children excel in my classroom because of the care, manner of instruction, and work habits that Mrs. Camaro has instilled in them. Mrs. Camaro is a professional who truly meets the criteria of dedicated, inspiring, and making a difference. She creates positive relationships with parents and families, and this is why she has the respect of families, students, and colleagues. Mrs. Camaro believes that teaching is a series of repetitive but necessary reminders to be your best self at all times, and small kindnesses that often go unrecognized. In my short time at WES, it is evident that Mrs. Camaro is someone who has a passion for working with children, sets high expectations, insists on holding students accountable for obtaining success, and truly cares about all her students. Mrs. Camaro is a positive role model for our students and staff, and I am fortunate and proud to have the opportunity to have her as one of my staff members. I'm proud to recognize Mrs. Claudia Camaro as the WES 2019-20 Governor Educator of the Year.
School, I was a young kid. I was like 30 years old. Among my first interactions with Mrs. Camaro, which was interesting, you kind of noted in your presentation, was among the first two things she told me was like, "I've been in this room forever. You're not moving me." I need my smart board moved. So I figured, I better just listen to her. It worked out well. Congratulations. So it's my distinct honor to talk about the Lawrence School staff this year, and having had the experience of working at Wantage School for, I think it was upwards of 10 to 12 years, I never really thought that I would find a opportunity that would rival or exceed, no, I'm not saying exceed.
Yes, he was.
We heard that.
That would rival, I'm not choosing one. They're all great schools. Rival the Wantage School staff. But the two folks that I'm going to talk about today, are just, they do a job that's really second to none. They're extraordinary professionals and extraordinary people that I've gotten to know. So our educational service professional is Mrs. Kelly Gumption. Mrs. Gumption has been a social worker in the district for a multitude of years. Throughout her time at the Lawrence School, she has familiarized herself with all the classrooms. Although she doesn't reside in the community, she has become involved by hosting several coat drives, supply drives, and more to be sure our students always have their needs properly met. She's always available for a student in crisis, but she also makes herself available to lend support to teachers when they need it most. And in talking to teachers and staff members, her conversations with teachers when they come to share her expertise, it's always in a non-judgmental fashion. And the faculty and staff really appreciate that. She's flexible with her schedule to best meet the needs of her students, and I can tell you, working with members of child study teams, the number of responsibilities that they have and the magnitude of responsibilities that they have just is extraordinary, and she's just one example of how they never let go of the individual student's needs, and they're always there for the particular kid. So I want to commend you for that job, and congratulations. Next up is our Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Sarah Moss. I've gotten to know Sarah since we brought her on board as a teacher at the Wantage School. I don't know if, short of administrators in the district, and I don't know if there's anybody I've ever seen at more events in the community and dedicating more of their time to PTO functions and community functions than Mrs. Moss. I know everybody does a great job, but really I see her at everything for years now. And she goes above and beyond for not only her students, but also the community and her colleagues. She's well respected by parents and staff members in the district. She also holds the title of Vice President of SWIA. Dedicates a lot of time in this position. I can't imagine today, running around doing the thing. She's always up for any challenge and fully committed to doing all she can do to meet the needs of her students. Sarah has also played a big part in the PTO. I can honestly say at any school event after hours, you're more likely to see Sarah than me. Volunteering your time. So it's been an honor working with you as well, and I want to congratulate you. Run.
Off to baseball.
So we always encourage the community to stay. We love to have your participation. But if you chose not to, now would be the opportune time to leave.
Good seats available.
I'm joking, Shane.
I got more to do.
Okay. Okay. So just to report out on some of our committee meetings, we had a community outreach committee meeting. Really great meeting, probably one of the best community outreach meetings. I think the chair would agree. We really engaged teacher and staff representatives from each building and student council representatives. You may recall that Mr. Schwartz volunteered to take on the role of spearheading student interaction at community outreach meetings, and he did a great job at that. And we brainstormed all kind of ideas that the Community Outreach Committee has been talking about, namely shadowing experiences, shadowing your board, learning about civic responsibility, and how to best serve the community and things like wide scale, we had the wide scale power outage. Neighboring district on the other end of the county was up and running before the community, and they offered charging centers, and kids came in for watching movie night, that kind of thing, to break up those days. So that's something the committee's been brainstorming. Policy committee met to review policy concerning recording board meetings with the video camera, and they elected to make no change with that. We did brainstorm that due to having the videotape, creating more concise minutes with less detail of board meetings, because people have the opportunity to go back and look at the video. And we briefly touched on employment of substitute teachers, namely the number of hours they're allotted to work, and we're going to revisit that discussion in the months ahead. We just had a B&G meeting, Buildings and Grounds, today, and we just met with the architectural firm in May. If you've attended board meetings before, heard me talk about, while there's no problem with the Lawrence School well, we want to take the opportunity to enhance it further. And so the architectural engineering firm is working through that. We looked at the initial designs today, and they're going through the permit process and the survey process of land, and all things seem to be moving forward positively. One of the goals for that was to try to maintain water pressure in the absence of power. So they're coming up with some different ideas for possible backup power supply, or a pressurized water tank like you might have for a well system in your home, just a giant size of that would continue to maintain a degree of water pressure for a finite amount of time if the power goes out. And also phase 3, the final phase of Wantage School, over the past decade, we've made enhancements, the board's made enhancements to the parking lot, repaving, reconfiguring. So now the final phase is looking at the playground portion of it, to include more parking spaces, designated parking spaces, handicap accessibility, and enhancing or transitioning a basketball court to another area. So that seems to be moving forward nicely. One of our concerns was making sure there was enough parking spaces if you to accommodate parent pickup, or could Mr. Gregory revamp parent pickup to take on a different form. So they were able to squeeze in some more parking spaces. Curriculum special services met. Fortunately, Mrs. Wilson couldn't be with us. She's been assigned to jury duty. She appreciates the civic responsibility of doing that, and asked me just to kind of touch on a couple things with Mrs. Demolakis. They've been working with Mr. Kronsky to kind of audit the technology tools that we utilize to see, the usage and can we refine any of those areas moving forward. Mrs. Demolakis is helping to coordinate a best practice series for our region, professional development opportunities that would consist of High Point, Frankfurt, Lafayette, perhaps Montague, in the areas of world language, science, social studies, language arts. So they're setting up those dates, and we've designated the idea of 1 or 2 people from each school who will attend those meetings and then come back and turnkey new information to folks. She's working with Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Kronsky, the tech team, Kyle in the back, and Mrs. Sarmiento to initiate the NJSLA, or formerly called PARC, process for testing, and that's a large task. We also talked about, we received an invitation from the Frankfurt School District to meet possibly sometime in March to brainstorm how, as a region, we might enhance our relationships. So we're looking at doing that. And that's all I have for you this evening.
At this time, we will move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district.
Sussex-Wantage, New Jersey. My husband and I came to the Board of Ed meeting back in March of 2019. We had several concerns regarding the transgender policy in the 8th grade trip, which we brought to your attention at that time. We were glad to see that a majority of the board members voted to explore the policy in greater detail before making a decision to adopt the policy. At that time, my husband and I brought to your attention the fact that this board seems to ignore the fact that parents have feelings and concerns that should be considered when making decisions on such important and far-reaching topics such as the transgender policy. Several weeks ago, this board decided to vote once again on adopting the transgender policy, and once again, without informing or educating the parents about what this policy entails. As a parent, this is extremely concerning. We are not the only ones that feel this way. If only this board would consider the thoughts, feelings, and concerns of the parents of the children who attend this district, we wouldn't be in this situation. What is so difficult about involving parents in this decision-making process? Why is it too much to ask for information to be shared with parents prior to adopting a policy such as this? Perhaps this board should have handled the process the same way that High Point Board of Ed has chosen. That board decided that the matter of transgender policy was of sufficient importance that the community should be properly noticed beforehand and the public given a chance to weigh in and ask questions. By not doing so, risk giving the appearance of trying to sneak it through. This is exactly what my husband and I, along with many other parents, are concerned about. This board seems to think that the questions and concerns of the parents of the students in this district are of no importance in their decision-making process. When you take the position as a board member, your decision needs to be in the best interest of the district and all the students that are in the district. Somewhere along the way, this board has forgotten that these are our children and we have the right to be involved and evaluate and create policies like this one that affects them, and certainly have the right to know everything that goes on with them while they're at school. So I'm going to be a little proactive here and ask a few questions. As far as the LGBTQ curriculum, when was that implemented? Are parents going to be involved in this process, and if so, how? What is the curriculum going to consist of, and can we opt our child out of it? The bottom line is communication. If the school makes the attempt to communicate with the parents, a lot of these issues could be avoided. Like the phrase says, knowing is half the battle. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Sussex-Wantage, New Jersey. Just want to follow up a little bit on what my wife just spoke about. Just want to reinforce the importance of communication. I don't get to come to a lot of these meetings because I've got other obligations that keep me from getting here, but the few that I've been to have mainly involved the transgender policy. I was happy to see at the last meeting that the board took into consideration our concerns, and it took about a year or so to hash out some of the issues. After seeing the new revised policy, I am happy to see some of the changes that were incorporated in it. But again, I'm left feeling like if we didn't come to these meetings, we wouldn't know what was going on. We wouldn't even know that there is a transgender policy. You know, I'm involved in a lot of other things outside of just coming to these meetings around the town. And a lot of parents that we run into and talk to about this have no idea that there even is a transgender policy. So I think going forward, there needs to be a better way of getting information to parents, because a lot of the problems that I think you're going to be faced with, unfortunately, going forward with this policy could be avoided if there was communication proactively instead of now what you're going to be faced with reactively. Another issue along the lines of communication. I have a son that's in second grade, and he comes home with math homework at night that I try to help him with. And I'm an educated guy, I have a bachelor's degree from college, and it takes me sometimes 10 minutes to figure out how to teach him the math homework the way that it's being taught now, completely different from the way that I learned how to do math. So again, I think a parent plays a vital role in the ability of teaching their kids how to learn what they're learning in school, to help to facilitate what they're learning in school, help supplement that, help them with their homework. And I struggle to do that because I feel like there's no attempt made by the school to teach parents how to help our kids, because we have no idea this new way of teaching math. It's like completely Greek to me. So again, if we could communicate some of that stuff, whether it's a handout, a book, or a class. Again, I don't know how many parents would attend, but I know I would definitely be there with my wife trying to figure out how we could help our kids better. Regarding the transgender policy, I do have a couple of questions, concerns. Not so much with the policy, but now that the policy is in place, how will and I don't know if you can answer these questions now, or if I need to email Mr. Gall, or how I get these answers, but
I'd be happy to sit with you. We've sat once before. I'm happy to sit with you folks again.
just a couple basic concerns. Now that the policy is in place, I'm just concerned that how are our kids going to know that this policy is in place, and how are they going to understand what their rights are? For example, if my son is in the bathroom and a girl walks in because she is identifying as being a male and my son's not comfortable, how's he going to know who to talk to and how to address that issue? Again, once it's explained to kids, I'm not sure, my son's in second grade, but as kids get older, we've all been in school, we know how kids think. How are we going to prevent kids from playing the system, so to speak? That's another concern that I have. Not sure how you guys are planning on addressing that. And then lastly, I'm just concerned if the facilities have been, or if they need to be updated to address the situation of single occupancy, non-gender specific bathrooms. I know the reference is the nurse's office, but the school has a lot of kids in it. If there's 4 or 5 kids that need to use a bathroom at the same time, they all want to use that one. My concern is that the facilities may not be where they need to be to address what's about to happen here. On a completely different note, I am a Little League board member, and we utilize the Board of Ed baseball, softball field outside here. And we did submit again this year for use of that field. I have a couple of concerns because last year we used that field and it wasn't maintained at all. And it was dangerous. There were kids that got cut up from sliding on the cement because the clay had turned to cement because it wasn't maintained. We had kids taking baseballs off of the teeth because of balls bouncing all over the place. So my question is, if we are given that field again this year, we did apply for it, we haven't heard yet. Who is going to be maintaining it, if I can get that information, and what the schedule of maintenance is. I know budgets are tight and baseball field maintenance is probably not high on your list of priorities, but again, it is a risk, a liability as far as I'm concerned to the kids that are playing on it. So any information I can get on that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Go Gather against the road. I'm a little disappointed because I was not planning on coming tonight, but I got a phone call from somebody that there's going to be a number of people here tonight firing back on this transgender policy. I don't think it's a question of how you can enforce it. I think it's a question of repeal it. Before you voted to adopt that policy, you should have voted to shut the school down. You voted to destroy the children of these 2 towns. You voted to destroy their families. Read the Communist Manifesto. You're on the first 2 steps. You're destroying this country.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Seeing none, we will move on to the board secretary certification. Others? Other? Ladies, would you like to?
Can I just say one thing real quick?
Of course.
Otherwise, I could wait until the next one.
No, of course, please.
Okay. She lost her notes that she doesn't want to talk about. Come on, Ed. All right, I'll talk the next one, she'll find it. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm Lori Morangi, Wantage, New Jersey. This is Emily Olinger, Sussex, who doesn't want to get up. We're here to represent the 8th grade Washington, DC fundraising committee. So we just wanted to kind of give you guys a little update of what we've been doing this year. So far for the trip this year, we have raised $7,000. And that's not including the Krispy Kreme, the individual fundraiser that we did. 441 boxes were sold for a total of $2,205 in profit. 2 students completely paid off their balance of their trip, and there was a 3rd student that almost made it. We are going to be doing a turkey try March 13th at the Beamerville Firehouse. We have a lot of good prizes that are coming in. We got a family 4-pack of tickets to Dorney Park. We got a weekend getaway at Candlewood Lake, an autographed Felix the Cat custom guitar. We got a bike, a Michael Kors purse, membership to the YMCA. We do have things already planned for next year. So we know that the trip is not yet approved for next year. Our basic goal is just to show you that we are trying, and we've raised, so our goal for this year was 10,000. Our goal for next year, if the trip gets approved, will even be a little bit higher. We already have, the Wizards game is already all set for November, which we will be doing with the Rose House, and we will be splitting the proceeds 50-50. And we already have a Krispy Kreme fundraiser in place for next year. So, so going forward, we just hope that you see the effort that we're putting forward, and that you do, do what you can to approve the trip, because the kids really and truly want to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And it's not lost on any of us how much effort, time, and energy you folks put into it, and I think everybody appreciates it.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Is it accurate that Mr. Schwartz volunteered to MC the turkey train? Is that?
Yes, along with you.
Oh.
It's gonna be like a tag team. This way, when one gets tired, the next one can pick up.
I'm just gonna sit back.
Yeah.
Are there any other public comments? Anybody else lose their notes? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the board secretary search.
Pursuant to NJAC 6A 23A-16.10C3, I certify that as of January 31st, 2020, no line item account has encumbrances and expenditures which in total exceed the line item appropriation in violation of NJAC 6A 23A-16.10.
All right, we will move on to the approval of board minutes for December 18th, 2019, regular and executive session, January 8th, 2020, reorganization meeting, and January 29th, 2020, regular session. Looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you. I'm looking for a second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ranzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Hyden?
Yes, on all except I'll abstain on January 8th, 2020, regular session.
Yes, me too, I have to abstain on December 19th, because I wasn't here.
Mr. Giuliano?
Staying December 19th.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
That was December 19th, as they said, not December 18th. Do we need to go into executive session? All right. So we'll move on to the presentation of agenda items.
Under personnel, I'd like to move items 1 through 21.
Looking for a motion. Thank you, Mrs. Steele. Discussion on personnel. All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Hyden?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yes, on all but number 3, abstain.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes, on all, number no on number 3.
Ms. Ranzan?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino.
Yes.
Motion carries.
New policy, I'd like to move items 1 through 3.
Looking for a motion? Mr. Nuss, any discussion? All right, roll call please.
Mr. Nuss?
I'm going to abstain for number 1 and yes for 2.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Hyden?
Yes.
Mrs. Juliana?
Yes.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
New finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 12.
Looking for a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, roll call please.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mr. Hyden?
Yes.
Mr. Juliana?
Yes, on all but number 2, abstain.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl? Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes on all, abstain on number 2, check number 39608.
Motion carries.
Under special services, I'd like to move items 1 through 4.
Looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Renzan, discussion. All right, roll call please.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Renzan?
Yes.
Mr. Hyden?
Yes.
Mr. Juliana?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Check curriculum, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Stahl. Discussion. All right, roll call please.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Hyden?
Yes.
Mr. Juliana?
Yes.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Referring to the addendum under personnel, I'd like to move item number 1.
Sorry, we already got first and second discussion, please. All right, roll call.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele? Yes. Mr. Hyden?
Yes.
Mr. Juliana?
Yes.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We will move on to unfinished business. Does anyone on the board have any unfinished business they'd like to discuss? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Does anyone have any new business?
I have something when everyone else is on.
It's okay.
This was previously mentioned in a weekly rundown, and the budget committee met last night, and we talked about it, and they're in agreement, but we wanted to get the feeling of the whole board. We need to have a meeting on the 18th of March in order to approve the tentative budget for submission by the 20th. The budget committee talked about canceling the regular session meeting on the 25th and just making it a meeting on the 18th for the tentative budget approval and the regular session. Let's see how everybody else feels about that. Otherwise, we would have to have 2 meetings, a special meeting and the regular meeting.
I'm fine with it, but there's a good chance that I'm going to abstain. So, as long as you have a quorum, there's a...
Okay. Everybody else okay?
Everybody okay with that?
Okay. I'm gonna advertise that appropriately and make that change.
At this time, we will move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district. All right, seeing none, we have no need for executive session, so I will look for a motion to adjourn.
A motion. I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.